morning and welcome. I'm in my local woodland again, and I shall be explaining a little bit more about this wonderful place. I'm going to do a video today of my static camp setup. Please note, I would not take all this if I was hiking. It is extremely heavy and cumbersome, but I haven't yet gone through my gear properly for a woodland camp, so I hope you enjoy it. This is a place, whenever I'm doing my filming, I tend to end up most. It's I suppose it's my little area of this woodland. My chair's set up, right. I find the place I want, and the first thing I set up will be my tarp, but I shan't be filming all of that. That's in a earlier video. There's my little dog, Alfie, scruffy looking border terrier, and my rucksack, which is suffering overkill today. Nice piece of woodland, coat hanging up, and my relaxing chair. Go folks. It is set up as I would be camping in the woods for a week or a few days if I was on some sort of course. Right, there we go. It's a self-catering course, so I've got my griddle there, and if I'll zoom in and you can see my honey stove, that will be set up to use a meths burner, so I can get my tea on first thing in the morning. Very important. Chair, small ground sheet, and obviously the tarp and the hammock. This is a small candle lantern. I like to light this if it's starting to get dark. It adds a little warmth to the area, sort of comforting thing. Of course, one of the most important things, my toilet kit. Little shovel, and in the bag is some hand gel, alcohol hand gel, and tissue paper. Obviously if I'm out for more than a night, I like to have a wash. It's very refreshing and obviously helps with camp hygiene. There's my wash bowl suspended from a branch. If I pan round, there's my wash kit. It's made from an ex-military trauma kit. In the bottom pouch is my solar shower, which I can sling over a branch and have a shower. Very refreshing, especially on a humid night. It looks a mess, I know, but this is my storage net. Something I thought about when I was up in the lakes, and I wish I'd had. It rained for 7 straight days, and I mean it did rain, and I had trouble keeping everything dry. The beauty of this is I can lift it all off the ground and stuff it underneath my poncho or some emergency tarping, which I do carry. With the poncho I have a guy out kit. As you can see, the little Trangia bottle at the end hangs. Keep my fuel away from the fire. It actually proves very useful. The net itself is actually homemade. I may do a video one day on making this net, though it's an extremely long process doing the method I used. I prefer a traditional way of doing it now. Right, here's a little tip. Some of you may do this, some of you may not. These are actually wood shavings. I was doing some carpentry indoors yesterday, making up another bucksaw frame, and I saved the wood shavings. In fact, I've got quite a lot of wood shavings indoors I've saved. I don't like seeing waste. This makes really good tinder. It's quite dry, and I'm going to use it on the bottom of my honey stove in just a second. Well, I suppose many of you will recognise this. It's a washing tab pouch. We tend to collect these. We tend to have drawfuls, or at least my AGP does. I use these for carrying tea bags, for carrying a loose change, and for when I sort my cordage out. My cordage gets bagged up and put into little bags like this. For each piece has a specific purpose. Very useful little bag. Doesn't cost anything. Great for keeping tea bags in and other small supplies. And it saves throwing them out. Very useful bag, and well, I hope it's a useful tip for you wonderful people out there. Well, I've had my breakfast, I'm on my second cup of tea now, and the embers are dying down in my honey stove. The pan is on the top with some water in, just to clean out a little bit, and I will soon be packing all this nut up to go home and do some projects indoors. Just a few thoughts on bushcraft. So a couple of weeks back I mentioned about the difference between the people who like to keep it simple, like I try to keep it simple as possible, and those that will buy every known gadget under the sun, whether it's a £2,000 knife or the latest all singing all dancing stove. I think bushcraft is heading, in some schools it's heading in the wrong direction, in the direction of, oh, I've got a qualification so I must be good at it. Doesn't work like that for me. I go for experience. You cannot put qualifications in bushcraft. It doesn't work as far as I can see, it doesn't work, because you have this ideal of a mindset. Bushcraft covers such a wide subject. There is as many views on bushcraft and many ways of practicing bushcraft really as there is people on the planet, because we all have our own angle. We all live our lives differently. I cannot practice the bushcraft and the way of life of a tribe from the Amazon jungle, or likewise Native Americans, or the Inuit, or even the Sami people, because their lives are totally different to my life. I live in a fairly urban environment and I practice the techniques that I wish to practice. I cannot go around saying that I'm qualified. I'm experienced. I have experience in the things that I do. I enjoy the cooking side of bushcraft. It's an interesting aspect because we all need to eat. We all need to drink. Without that we will expire earlier than expected. I tend not to make debris shelters because I don't find myself in that. It's a great exercise. It was a good exercise when I did it. But I have my tarp, I have my hammock, and I have my little bits and pieces, and that suits me down to the ground. I like to experience the craft side of bushcraft. It's a many-spoked wheel, as someone once said. In fact, it's a bit like riding a bike, because you've got bushcraft and you've got tracking, and the two combine, and both have got many spokes coming off them. Bushcraft in particular, it's like a many-spoked wheel. You cannot be qualified in bushcraft per se. Well, that's my little bit. It may sound a bit garbled, but as I say, it's my own personal view. I'll be packing up my camp in a minute and putting everything away. I'll speak to you all soon. Right, those are the last 4 things I packed: the ground sheet, the tarp, the poncho and the net. The reason is, if it's raining I can get the tarp out and get that up and get in under the dry as quick as possible. Everything else and after that is a total breeze to set up. In just a second I will be back home and I will go through my rucksack. I'm to talk over. It's the Sabre 75 CTFN.